most unreal, surreal election we have ever seen.
We have a new name for the coronavirus. The World Health Organization has officially called it COVID-19.
Lines crossing the Bloomberg terminal right now that Elon Musk has agreed to buy Twitter for $54.20 a share in cash.
The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York has confirmed the arrest of FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried in the Bahamas.
Smart people doing stupid things to incompetence or haste, but this one just, it doesn't make sense. First, the facts. Balenciaga is one of the world's most expensive clothing brands.
Convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein remains behind bars today on
abuse of underage girls. Prosecutors say that she recruited and groomed 4 times.
As you and I well remember, the president was impeached, President Trump was impeached. No Republicans voted in the House.
With me now. And so, Philip, what's the latest then that we're getting on the Russian attacks in Ukraine?
Well, day 2.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Badlands Daily. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday so far. Brian, how's your Wednesday going?
It's hump day.
Was that a Bud Light commercial?
No, that was it was the camel walking through. It was like a mortgage company or something.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was that Progressive Insurance?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I was just thinking, Bud Light used to have so many good commercials, and they just went and ruined it. What are they down to, like $38 billion in market cap or something?
$27 billion, bro. $27 billion with a B. Liberty Mutual. There we go.
You hate to see it.
Oh, wait. Some are saying Geico. Some are saying Liberty Mutual. Geico.
Okay.
Limu Emu is the Liberty Mutual.
Gotcha.
Most annoying commercials in the entire world.
Either way, that's funny. Hump day it is. Yep. We're going to get into the news here quick. Before we do, I want to get to our first 2 sponsors of the day. Let's start with Field of Greens, everybody. We all know that it's very important for your health to get your full daily servings of fruits and veggies. But we also all know that it's not easy to do. It takes a lot of eating. Our schedules are always busy. There's so much going on. It's just not convenient. And that's one of the ways society has kind of ruined us, is they've made eating healthy an inconvenience. Well, Field of Greens has taken that challenge, and they've come up with a solution. And their product is the convenient way to get your full daily servings of whole organic fruit and veggies. They take it, they freeze dry them, grind them up into powder form, and then you just mix them with water or protein shakes or whatever you choose to do. And wham bam, there you go. It comes with a better health promise. No more excuses not to get your full daily servings of fruits and vegetables, guys. Go to fieldofgreens.com. Their products have over 3,000 5-star reviews, and I hope 2,500 of those are from you Badlanders, because everybody should be taking this product. You can fieldofgreens.com, use promo code Badlands, and you can get 15% off of your order. That's fieldofgreens.com, promo code Badlands for 15% off of your order. And then we got a new sponsor here on Badlands. Excited about this. We've been saying you guys got to take the steps to be prepared, whether it's financially or whatnot. We have another prepper food here. Experts say that China is hoarding a massive amount of food. They will soon have over 2/3 of the globe's corn reserves, over half of its rice, and over half of its wheat. Well, what does China know that we don't? When it comes to global food shortages, China is the canary in the coal mine. You see, China is the world's #1 food importer. They rely on the rest of the world to keep their people fed, so they can't afford to mess up, or there will be riots, civil panic, or even worse, when over 1 billion people can't eat. What does that mean for Americans like you and me? Food shortages. We also have the supply chain issues that happen with COVID. It's only getting worse. That's why it's a smart idea to stock up on a kit of the best-selling 4 Patriots survival food. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriots survival food kits. They're handpicked in the USA. They're compact. They stack easily. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, and thousands of 5-star reviews on the website rave about the flavor and taste. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase of 4 Patriots survival food by typing in the code Badlands at checkout. That's 4patriots.com using the code Badlands. And thank you to 4Patriots for partnering with us. And thank you to those in the audience for supporting our sponsors. So that's a great way to support us. Let's get into it, man.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into this first story here. These are going to kind of be a pair right here. This is from the Daily Mail. Plenty more where that came from. New York City's first safe drug vending machine is replenished with Narcan, fentanyl strips, and condoms. But no more crack pipes after residents ransacked the stash in the first 24 hours. So the initial loading of this, John, they put crack pipes in there. And they were gone like within hours. They were gone.
Safe drug vending machine.
Safe drug vending machine. It's everything shy of actually the drugs themselves. All the paraphernalia you need to use it. The fentanyl strips, which I kind of like the idea of at least giving them the fentanyl strips so they make sure they're not overdosing on that poison coming over the border from Mexico. But in general, like, you've got to be pretty pissed off if you're a New Yorker right now, knowing that your tax dollars are going towards a vending machine for other people to get free drug materials. Like, think of all the things you do in your life that you don't get for free, that you would like to get for free. That's a lot safer and more responsible than drug use. Just a pretty crazy story. It says here, Elaine Quashie, the opioid overdose program director at Services for Underserved, said, quote, "We're going to restock every single day, probably multiple times a day." He said he was not surprised that the items were taken so quickly, adding, "I kind of knew that they would go." I mean, if you give something for free, like, you literally could have put anything in that vending machine and people would have taken it. You could have put, like, I don't know, business cards for random people throughout the thing. People would have just taken it randomly. Like, anything that's in a vending machine, if it's free. But when you put drug paraphernalia and, that kind of stuff in there, he says he restocked 5 trays of naloxone. I think that's like a Narcan thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe. I don't know.
And 2 trays of fentanyl testing kits, and said he'll be returning later to refill the machines again. So congratulations, New York. You guys are winning the drug war single-handedly.
Unreal. I don't want to get ahead of you, but did you see the breaking news out of CNN this morning?
I did. We'll get into that in just a second.
Okay.
Sorry. That's literally my next story. I just wanted to get this fluff out of the way beforehand. So on that same note, we've talked a lot about New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. We talked yesterday about Portland, but San Francisco now, from the Daily Mail, owner of 2 of San Francisco's largest hotels, Hilton Union Square and Park 55, stop making payments on $725 million loan that was due in November because of the crime-ridden city's path to recovery remains, quote unquote, clouded. The owner of San Francisco's 2 largest hotels, have stopped making mortgage payments on the properties and will let them go into foreclosure as historic crime rates continue to deter tourists. Quote, "After much thought and consideration, we believe it is in the best interest for park stockholders to materially reduce our current exposure to the San Francisco market," said CEO Thomas Baltimore Jr. in a statement. "Now more than ever, we believe San Francisco's path to recovery remains clouded and elongated by major challenges, both old and new." End quote, as the city becomes a ghost town with empty storefronts. And he finishes up by saying, ultimately, the continued burden on our operating results and balance sheet is too significant to warrant continuing to subsidize and own these assets. So it's getting so bad in San Francisco that they're willing to just go into foreclosure on these 2 hotels and just wipe their hands of it. That's bad.
It's very bad. We're going to start seeing more and more of this. I mean, think of what these democratic policies have done to not just businesses like this, but even their policies that stem from COVID, like the squatters. Like, you could go in to like rent a house, let's say, and not pay rent, but they couldn't evict you. You know what I mean? And so these decisions these states are making are just completely destroying, not just business owners, but property owners, all this stuff. And then they're going to go into foreclosure, and then some big bank like BlackRock's probably going to buy it up, and they're going to be owning all this property. So it's
bingo.
Perpetual cycle.
That's exactly. I mean, and they did the same thing with the Summer of Love. These communities got absolutely destroyed, and guess who went in and bought up all the real estate that was damaged and destroyed, and people that were fleeing? Guess who bought all that up? I mean, it's almost like this was planned.
Yep.
kind of wild.
It really is. It's wild, but when you like sit back and look at it from a 40,000 foot view and think about it, I mean, it's brilliant on their part, on their efforts to try to like basically take over America and destroy us and get control. I mean, it's brilliant when you think about it, but that's why we believe there's something bigger going on behind the scenes fighting back.
Well, here's the breaking news for today. CNN fires CEO Chris Licht after just 13 months. Chris Licht, the embattled CEO of CNN, who took a wrecking ball to many of the network's leftist anchors as part of an image rehabilitation, is out of the job after just 13 months, according to Puck News. His tenure at the network was marked with controversy, including the shuttering of the network's failed CNN Plus streaming platform at the request of CNN's new owners, who were unsure about a standalone digital product, a move which resulted in scores of layoffs. The network's financial picture has also been worsening, generating just $750 million in profit last year, including one-time losses from CNN Plus, down from $1.25 billion the year before. So in record fashion, Licht is out of there. He had this whole idea of like bringing CNN back to the middle, kind of re-engaging with Republicans. He was unsuccessful in that. He thought the town hall was going to be some wild success. And, the right hated Caitlin Collins for debating Trump the whole time. The left hated him for Trump was in the best of form that day. That night and just absolutely annihilated it. So he was in a no-win situation there, and now he's gone.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, what he was doing, like, was Trump the straw that broke the camel's back? I don't know, but what he was doing, I think they were on a path to potentially getting to that center and getting more viewership. I think the Trump town hall proved that more people want center news or right-leaning news. But yeah, this is not really surprising, but definitely interesting, the timing and everything after Trump. I think, didn't they just have Nikki Haley on the other night too? Maybe she was the reason.
Yeah, that was pretty awful.
But I do want to play a video from CNN itself here.
Go for it.
A quick 45-second video.
We have news now to report involving our own network. News to us here at CNN and you at home. CNN's chairman and CEO, Chris Licht, is leaving the network. Licht took over the network a little over a year ago. David Zaslav, the chairman of CNN's parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, he just made the announcement at the network editorial meeting. For now, a leadership team will take Licht's place, led by Amy Entelis, who's the executive vice president of talent and content development, along with Virginia Mosley, the EVP of editorial, Eric Sherling, our programming EVP, and David Levy, our new chief operating officer. Sarah?
Thank you, Kate. On our radar this morning, Prince Harry.
We have news now to report involving.
There we go. Yeah, just awkward, but yeah, interesting stuff. We'll see. I wonder if like this will end up resulting in, let's what Stelter, is he going to end up coming back or something stupid? Like we'll see what this brings.
No, that guy ain't ever coming back. But this could be in response. So CNN tried CNN Plus streaming, right? And it was wildly unsuccessful. I think they closed it like in the first 3 months, right? I think it was.
I don't even know. I really don't pay attention to CNN all that much.
Well, I mean, I pay attention to the culture around it. And that was something like they thought, oh, we're going to be pioneers in this. It's such a good idea. And then they're like, it's just not ripe. It's just not ready enough. And then you get this yesterday. Tucker Carlson, episode 1. I think right now we've got 67.8 million impressions. You actually have to click on it to see the views. So I don't
think it shows the views anymore.
Yeah. No, it did. I saw it. I 100% saw the views. It was like 14 million it was up to. All right,
I'm pretty sure I saw Elon Musk saying that they don't show the actual views anymore on this stuff.
Oh, well, he's killing it. 68.1. So it's up 300,000. It's up 300,000 views in the 20 minutes that I had this up. And it was a pretty good piece. It's about a 10-minute long segment. He talks about the Kakova dam that just erupted yesterday. Talks about, it's a pretty interesting thing. It's 10 minutes long. I don't want to get into it now, play the whole thing now, but it's definitely something that's worth a watch. But this is a huge moment right here. I said this changes everything. Last night I tweeted out, this changes everything. Like this, he has last night in 2 hours, he had over 10 million views on this video, which is more than almost 5 times what he would get at Fox News. And there's no, budget issues. There's no restraint, no restrictions. This is going to change everything. Whether you like Tucker or not, he is going to be a pioneer moving forward in this kind of alternative space for news and information. And I'm glad that we have Badlands running now, ahead of it, kind of getting out in front of everything. This is a major trend right here.
Yeah, some of the other stuff he talked about too is not just the Ukraine stuff, but about the mainstream media reporting on Ukraine. And then he went into a lot of like the major stories that, comparing the United States now to Russia back in the day when, Russia during the Cold War, they all thought, or maybe it was even before, I don't remember what time period he said, but he basically said Russia, they knew nothing of the United States. They thought everybody here was in poverty and all this stuff, like all this misinformation. And it's because they weren't getting any news there. The only people that actually knew about what was truly going on in the world were people who could get in on like radio signals. And he's like, this is our new radio signal. Like, this is what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to correct the record and talk about the things that we can't talk about, and no longer allow the mainstream media to control the flow of information. So yeah, I agree. It's huge. And the format too, like a 10-minute clip like that versus an hour on social media versus on a mainstream media network. I mean, it's a brilliant idea. And I do think this is going to be big for us, big for alternative media. And again, guys, like we're doing our part. You guys got to do your part too. We got to share those Tucker Carlson videos. You got to share our videos to your friends and family. The goal here is to get people to stop watching the mainstream media. That's just it. They are the enemy of the people, like Trump repeatedly told us. So, huge, absolutely huge. I wonder how often he's going to do those episodes.
That's a good question, and to the format, the 10 minutes, one of the things that cause I don't watch a single thing on Fox News other than, and I always used to say this, other than I would watch Tucker's opening monologue, which is, usually 10 minutes or so. After that, he would go off and bring in the contributors who I don't really care too much for. A lot of the contributors, it's a lot of clickbait kind of stuff, the racy kind of stuff that kind of keeps us divided. And I wasn't a huge fan of all that, but his monologues were always well put together, well said, kind of had usually he was trailing a little bit behind in the news, but I mean, he had this dam story up last night. AP just reported on it this morning. So he was actually breaking on that, and his insight into it was a little bit interesting. We are going to cover that, but I do want to just run through the numbers. Benny Johnson put the numbers out on Twitter. Tucker broke the corporate media monopoly matrix tonight, and it's never coming back. It's funny. He said that after I did. Yeah, I was ahead of that. But anyways, Tucker uploaded a 10-minute monologue, no ads, no interruptions, no pricey subscriptions, watch on demand. The result, 17 million views, 90,000 retweets, 25,000 comments. And it's since absolutely crushed those numbers. He's up to 60 million views, 170,000 retweets, 49,000 comments. Just absolutely insane. This is one of those moments, folks, like what we saw last night with episode 1 is one of those moments that in 20 years from now, we'll be able to look back and be like, yeah, you're watching the news the way you are now because of Tucker Carlson back in 2023 on D-Day of all days, on 2023. And by the way, we didn't acknowledge that yesterday. That completely my fault. I lose track of days. So
didn't acknowledge what?
D-Day yesterday was D-Day.
Yeah.
Completely forgot because I don't look at dates anymore, man. I know the day and that's it. So, the utmost respect and love for our World War II veterans, the greatest generation by far.
Absolutely.
But yeah, last night is going to be one of those days in 10, 15, 20 years. We look back and we're like, yeah, we used to watch TV on the news on the television. And they're like, what? You used to watch news on the television? Yeah, we did.
That's crazy. I wonder if Benny Johnson got that from an inside source. I wonder where he got that information.
No, that was just.
I'm just making fun of it. He's the one who always comes out saying he has an inside source saying something, and then he's always wrong. Like 2 weeks ago, he said Trump is coming back to Twitter. Inside sources tell me Trump is considering returning to Twitter because of the Ron DeSantis thing.
Yeah, that's why I don't really ever use him as a news source. But I mean, that's just data that I could have looked at. No problem there.
Yeah, but I want to share one more story quick. That unless you got more on just the Tucker thing,
no,
because we just saw this morning. I told you before the show, but. It appears that North Dakota's governor, Doug Burgum, Bill Gates' friend and ally, is going to be announcing his presidential campaign. So that is interesting. I don't think he has a chance, but he's a businessman. Because he has ties to Bill Gates, maybe he will be a candidate that gets pushed by those kinds of people. We'll see what happens with this, but it's expected he's announcing today at 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Well, that was an incredibly convenient segue into a story that I was going to cover next, but I'm going to move it up now. Yeah, thanks, man. So last week I talked about this independent third party story, and I got obliterated because I said that a Republican entering the general election, not the primary, but the general election, a Republican Democrat ticket with a Republican at the top coming in as an independent third party could be detrimental to Trump, the same way that a Democrat at the top could be detrimental to whoever the Democrat nominee is, whether it's Biden or whatever. Well, now we have just this little clip here that I want to play talking about Burgum coming into the race. I think Christie just entered too as well. No, I'm not going to comment on that. I was going to say something. I'm sure you can figure out what I was going to say, but check this out. This was Kelly Conway talking about Cornel West joining as a Democrat and running as an independent third party for the Democrats. This could be huge for Trump when he wins the primary next year.
Democrats, you just mentioned that progressive activist Cornel West jumping into this race. Political analyst Amy Walter kind of posed an interesting question about his candidacy. We pull up her tweet here. She put the question out essentially saying, isn't this candidacy more threatening to Biden in general election, especially with young and voters of color, than RFK Jr. in the primary? What do you think about that?
The answer to that is yes. It's very likely. Amy Walter's onto something, and I'll tell you why. Even if you don't become president, you as a third-party candidate spoiler can decide who is the president. This happened in 1992 when we had Bush 41 as the incumbent, and a guy named Bill Clinton, the Arkansas governor, got elected with 43.5% of the vote. Why? Because Ross Perot got 19% of the popular vote, even though he didn't rack up any electoral votes. So I think it's important also what Amy Walter is pointing out is that if you play to win and you're Cornel West and you are still not satisfied with the trajectory of the Democratic Party being progressive enough for you under a Biden-Harris administration, key word there, then you're going to run to the left of them. Number one. Number two, he's going to make a play for people who feel forgotten, who feel abandoned by this Democratic Party, who feel like nobody's listening to them and including them. It's part of how Trump won in 2016, but I think he could do it from the left. Last point on this, we had an incumbent president in Jimmy Carter in 1980. He won 34 or 36 contests, but Ted Kennedy won 12 of them, including big states like California. And Ted Kennedy did not concede the nomination to Jimmy Carter until August or so at the convention. Carter came out of that very damaged and as an incumbent president lost to Ronald Reagan. So we do have some press.
All right, so we can cut that out there, but that's precisely what I'm saying. In fact, I think I even used the Ross Perot example last week when we were talking about that, but there's going to be retaliation. The Democrats are not going to just say, okay, we're just going to let Cornel West. They're going to get somebody to run there. We might have a presidential election with 4 main party candidates on there, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. Cause I do think they'll try and get a Republican to run as an independent as well, in order to, kind of soften the blow for the Democrats in the general election in 2024.
I'm trying to. Where do we know that guy from?
Cornel West. Oh, he's all over the place. He's a little bit nutty.
Is he the one that's like super, like pushes the race stuff?
That I don't know. I don't know enough about him. I know he's very progressive.
Yeah, I don't think he has a chance. I mean, I really don't.
Absolutely not. He's another Ross Perot. He's a guy that is going to just get in there and disrupt the Biden campaign or whoever it is. It could be RFK. And look, that's one of the as a Republican, as a MAGA Republican, as a whatever you want to call yourself, as a Trump supporter, that's probably one of the best things that could possibly happen is him running as an independent in the general election.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we're probably going to see that on both sides. I really do. And I don't think it'll have an effect. I mean, again, Trump won the 2020 election. He's going to get the most votes in this next election. They're going to try to run candidates on both sides to take away from that. and their only chance is fraud. I mean, the only way Biden wins is fraud. Biden's going to be the candidate.
Yeah, but how are you gonna use fraud if Cornel West is also on the ticket and taking, all he has to take is 4%. Anything over 4%, and Joe Biden gets absolutely annihilated, no matter how much fraud you muster up.
No, they'll try. I mean, and I don't think we can look at. I mean, we talk about 4% of votes, or we try to say all we need is this many votes to be taken away. I don't think people realize that even those numbers, we don't actually know what's needed because our elections are so fake and gay. You know what I mean? Like how do we know what the true numbers are, what the trends are, or what the pollings are, like any of this stuff, when you can't actually determine what the true vote totals are?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right, well, let's jump into this story here from the AP, and this is something that Tucker covered on that little 10-minute segment that he did there. Major dam collapses in southern Ukraine, flooding villages as Moscow and Kiev trade blame. A major dam in southern Ukraine collapsed Tuesday, flooding villages, endangering crops, and threatening drinking water supplies as both sides in the war scrambled to evacuate residents and blamed each other for the destruction. Ukraine accused Russian forces of blowing up the Kakova Dam and hydroelectric power station, which sits on the Dnieper River. I think that's how you say that. Dnieper.
Close enough.
Whatever. In an area of Moscow. I want to see them come over here and say Mississippi. In an area Moscow has controlled for more than a year. Russian officials blame Ukrainian bombardment in the contested area where the river separates two sides. Russian and Ukrainian officials use terms like ecological disaster and terrorist act to describe the water gushing out of the dam. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said, quote, the largest man-made environmental disaster in Europe in decades. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said it's another devastating consequence of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. This is just wild, man. Like we're going to have no idea like what happened. If you listen to the Tucker 10-minute segment, he said that, months ago, a Ukrainian, I don't remember if he said it was the defense minister or one of the Ukrainian generals, said they were testing U.S. rockets that we gave them by firing them at the floodgates for the dam.
Yeah, that's what he said. It's funny that this is another instance of the mainstream media trying to say that this was Russia when this hurts Russia more, just like the Nord Stream pipeline. And again, they've had evidence that Ukraine, or the United States CIA has had evidence that Ukraine was planning to do the Nord Stream. That same thing with, it just makes logical sense. This was Ukraine or like the Azov battalion and the CIA in general, but they're trying to spin it that it's not. We're going to cover this tonight on the Power Hour. So I'll have more to talk about then, but yeah, it's just another example of the entire Ukraine-Russia war is just a big gaslighting fest. That's all it is. That's all it's been. And every time Ukraine or the United States or the allies or whatever do something bad, they just blame it on Russia. Everything's been blamed on Russia since 2010 or something stupid. It's ridiculous.
So where do we stand now with the Nord Stream pipeline and all that? Because last night when Tucker was talking, he didn't say that America did it. He said Ukraine did it. And he said he made that sound as a matter of fact, that we now know that Ukraine did it. And so was there something I missed on this?
No, there's still reports coming out, like, different countries are doing their own different investigations. Some of them say like Seymour Hersh came out and said it was the United States. You've had other reports come out say it was Ukraine. Some people said I can't remember the other one. There's
didn't they say it was like a Ukrainian oligarch on his yacht,
or like some just random people not associated with the Ukraine government but of Ukrainian descent or whatever. Like they're muddying the waters on this. I still tend to believe that it was backed by the United States. It was either the CIA directly or through the Azov battalion or something. And that's who I really think it is. But it makes no sense. Like it makes no logical sense that Russia would have done this to themselves. Which right. I mean, you could play devil's advocate and say, well, because it makes no sense for them to do it themselves, maybe that's why they did it themselves, and to blame it on Russia, or blame it on Ukraine. But I don't know. The water is so muddied on that topic. It's still hard to know the truth of what's going on. But what's important is the conflict is still going on, and I'm saying that's important in terms of who's going to be the one to end this conflict. It's not going to be Biden and the United States. It's going to be Trump or like Xi or Putin himself, like the current administration is going to be bypassed in whatever way this conflict ends, whether it's soon or in 2024, 2025, whatever. So we just have to kind of wait and see what happens. But you can't believe a single thing of reporting that comes out of that area ever.
Yep. Yeah. Like, and you know, I was talking about this yesterday. I actually wrote an article. We talked about it on the show here, but I wrote an article on Gateway about this yesterday. There's like a complete and total narrative shift going on right now regarding Ukraine. You've got the New York Times coming out yesterday talking about the Nazis over there, the Nazi ideology, admitting that people have been deleting images of the Nazis. Like NATO would post something, and then when they realize that there's an Azov battalion insignia in there, or the what did they call it, the Black Sun, the Totenkampf or something like that, when they would see this in the imagery, they would delete it. And then the week before that, Reuters on June 1st, on the day that Pride Month kicks off, Reuters publishes that Ukraine does not support gay marriage. And, you know, reading through that article that Reuters put out, Russia Today also put it out as well. But after Reuters, they lost, you know, some lawsuit with the European Human Rights Council over being able to get gay marriage, you know, somebody to get their gay marriage, you know, certified or whatever it may be. So you've had two huge stories. I mean, Nazis and LGBTQ are they're cultural phenomenons right now in the United States. It's what everybody's talking about. And so putting out the Mockingbird media, putting out those stories to push against Ukraine is really bizarre timing. And now we have this dam erupting, and Tucker's monologue last night saying that you know, Zelensky's not even in charge. Didn't he imply that Zelensky's not even the one pulling the strings on this? He was saying, he's like, Zelensky's a genuinely nice guy and all this stuff. I don't know. Maybe that was
sarcasm, I think.
What was it? Sarcasm?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't tell. I listened to it in passing. I was more excited about the revelation that he's doing it more so than what he had to say. But I did catch that part talking about the West.
He's normally like, he does a little bit of sarcasm on the Fox stuff, but last night's monologue was very, very heavy on the sarcasm. And so you do got to be careful about that, because people who do listen in passing could get the wrong impression. So, hopefully maybe they tone that down a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that's intentional to protect yourself from, you know, any lawsuits or anything like that. Oh, that was sarcastic. I do it all the time. And if that's the case, that's kind of, you know, a little bit scary. You got to let people know when you're saying something sarcastically.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
All right.
Real quick, can I get to our next sponsor here?
Yep.
Our next two sponsors, actually. Let's start with whoops. There we go. EnviroCleanse. If all home air purifiers are the same, why did the U.S. Department of Defense select EnviroCleanse to protect and purify the air on board our Navy ships? Because EnviroCleanse advanced mineral technology goes beyond ordinary HEPA filters to destroy airborne illness-causing cold and flu viruses, including COVID. EnviroCleanse is the new science in air purification, and now you can order one for your home or office. This is how you help stop colds and flu from taking your whole family down. This is how you destroy allergy-inflaming toxins and mold from the air your family breathes. In fact, this hospital-grade technology is so powerful that it promises far fewer colds and allergies and even better sleep. Visit ekpure.com and use code JOHN, Jon, for 10% off your EnviroCleanse home air purification unit. You'll also receive a free air quality monitor plus fast free shipping. That's $150 in savings. Again, that's ekpure.com, code JON. And again, I love telling the story of my brother-in-law, super bad asthma. When there was fires from Canada coming down, they borrowed the unit. They had no smell of smoke in their house anywhere. It was kind of ridiculous. Anyway, and then our final sponsor of today's show, we got My Pillow from Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell's been a patriot. He's been fighting in this movement for a long time. He's been targeted heavily, and he's still out there providing a platform for people like us, businesses like us, to make a living. And so they've been canceled by so many retailers, and he's changed his business strategy. He's selling products directly through people like us. And so to help you enjoy the summer, My Pillow is having a massive sale on beach blankets, towels, and more at up to 80% off. So make sure you guys go to mypillow.com, use promo code Badlands, and you can get your products. I'm still partial to the slippers, man. I wear them every single day, almost all day, unless I have to like go actually do something. But I'm typically around the house and I'm just constantly wearing them.
So, going back real quick on the damn thing, Ash just texted me this, and apparently CNN yesterday put out an article from Natasha Bertrand. Okay, Natasha Bertrand. So take this with an absolute grain of salt because this woman is a confirmed liar. 51 intel officers. She's the one that doctored the Politico report on that. And it says U.S. received intel from European ally that Ukrainian military was planning an attack on Nord Stream pipeline, officials say. This was published yesterday at 6 p.m. The U.S. received intelligence from a European ally last year that the Ukrainian military was planning an attack on the Nord Stream natural gas pipeline 3 months before they were hit. Dude, we're throwing Ukraine under the bus, man. If Bertrand is reporting that, remember, she's the one that got the email from the 51 top intel officers where they said we can't confirm this, and she turned around and said it's confirmed. Yeah, she's a liar. If she's putting that out there after the stuff I just talked about, and now all of a sudden the U.S. is like, oh yeah, we knew that Ukraine was going to bomb the pipeline, and it's like we're just now finding this out. It's been how long since that pipeline deal went off? Like, yeah, something's shifting in Ukraine, man. Something's happening. I don't know if that counteroffensive was as awful as they think, and they realized that it's the end of the line for Ukraine, which we all realized on February of 2022. I don't know, man. Something weird's happening.
Yeah, check this out. Kate just messaged me that somebody said that they can't get a hold of, or they can't look up Badlands Media on Twitter, or Twitter account. I just did a search on, like, you can check to see if your accounts are shadow banned, and Badlands Media is being shadow banned on Twitter right now. Search suggestion ban.
What?
Yep.
And it doesn't tell you why, huh?
Nope. And then I don't even know what these other things are.
What's that website, man? I want to see that website.
It's, if you just type in shadow ban, Twitter shadow ban search or something on like in DuckDuckGo or whatever your browser, it should pop up. It's shadowban.yu Zariza something.
Screenshot that and put it out there, because
Yeah,
Elon was just today. Elon was like, wouldn't it be great if we had all news platforms like Tucker's? Last night he said something along those lines. It was actually on that Benny Johnson tweet. So yeah, definitely put that out there, man. All right.
Stupid.
Yep. Well, let's jump into this story here. Conservatives, this is from Politico, so again, take it with a grain of salt. Conservatives surprised McCarthy with floor rebellion over debt deal anger. Republican leaders spent nearly an hour working to resolve the standoff with their right flank, which disrupted the party's plans to pass legislation protecting gas stoves from potential government bans. Ultimately, roughly a dozen conservatives, most of them from the Trump-aligned House Freedom Caucus, voted against moving forward on the bill that they support. The move was entirely unexpected by senior Republicans. Representative Dan Bishop told reporters that there's no decision made yet by McCarthy's critics on the right deciding whether or not to vote to vacate the speaker. Bishop added that the Republicans who voted no on Tuesday haven't decided yet whether to take down further votes to make their points. Quote, but the problem that has been precipitated entirely by the speaker's approach to the debt ceiling is going to have to be dealt with. So in other words, they're saying he kind of crapped the bed, so to speak, on the debt ceiling, and they haven't made up their mind yet. But we got this interesting little tidbit from down here. At the center of Tuesday's dispute was an accusation by Representative Andrew Clyde from Georgia that GOP leaders threatened to sink his bill to repeal a Biden administration gun regulation unless he supported advancing last week's debt deal. Majority Leader Steve Scalise, who determines which legislation comes to the floor, has denied the allegations hours before the vote. Now, that legislation that Clyde introduced is to get rid of this pistol brace ban. So this is actually, something that's pretty desirable amongst the Second Amendment people. It says later after the failed vote, Clyde met with Scalise but remained tight-lipped about what was discussed. Quote, Clyde said, quote, it was a good conversation. I think there's a more solid plan now. But Clyde remained frustrated by what was described as a threat from the GOP leaders that his gun proposal would not receive a vote unless he voted with the party line last week. So some interesting disclosures there, not stuff that we would normally hear about, insider baseball kind of, so to speak. But Clyde seems pissed that he was told, if you don't vote for this debt ceiling, we're not going to put your bill to the floor.
Yeah, and he should be pissed. Like, I don't know, that whole thing, I'm surprised nobody's brought a motion to vacate, honestly.
Well, it seems like they're thinking about it. And, I was thinking about that. And, like, what do the Democrats do in that situation? Do the Democrats vote to vacate?
I don't know.
I mean, because that's the key right there.
We'd probably see a very, very similar situation to what happened when the original vote took place. Like they would all vote against anybody that the Republicans put forth, and it would be a stalemate until the Freedom Caucus caved with the candidate they're willing to do, or with more concessions or whatever. So I doubt it will actually happen, but we'll see.
What if they force McCarthy out and Democrats are like, okay, we got to make sure we keep somebody that's a little bit establishment in here. And so they kind of join together to put somebody like Scalise or Stefanik, somebody like that in that spot. I don't know. This is going to be pretty interesting if they do introduce a motion to vacate, and yep. All it's going to take is 10. I think it would be 10 Republicans to vote would vacate the seat. Or do you need just a majority? I don't know.
I don't even know. Whatever.
Yeah, we're getting into craziness here. All right. So from Bloomberg, Trump special counsel summons Florida witnesses in classified documents probe. Special counsel Jack Smith's office in recent weeks has issued a federal grand jury subpoena out of southern Florida to multiple witnesses linked to the classified documents probe involving Donald Trump, according to, of course, another leak. Two sources familiar with the investigation. The latest action in Florida comes as Smith's office appears to be wrapping up the records probe heading into the summer. A second investigation run by Smith is being run by Smith into efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. I don't want to give that much time, other than the fact that now it's like, hey, there's also a grand jury that's being seated in Florida as well. Yep. Is that the first time you've heard that?
Yep.
Okay. I just want to make sure, you're more dug into that stuff than I am. So I want to make sure that,
Can you share that link with me in the chat?
Absolutely. Give me a second. This story just came out this morning, I believe, but of course it's still just leaks. Okay. So Take it with a grain of salt. All right. Jumping in here, we got a little bit of a story out of Kerry Lake War Room. I think I shared this again. I think I shared this over the weekend, but it's okay. It's okay. I didn't get the traction. Plot thickens. On October 11th, 2022, Maricopa Logic and Accuracy tested just 5 spare tabulators in the Dog and Pony Show. Now, we've already talked about this. We reported on this, but now we actually got proof thanks to the mainstream. Well, not the mainstream, but a local news outlet in Arizona. It says the tabulators that were used were secretly reprogrammed on the 14th through the 18th, which we've talked about. 59% of them would fail on election day. Now, what they actually did, check this out, John. So they had Fox 10 had video up. Okay. And let me see if I can open this so we can zoom in on this. Okay. So Fox 10 had this video up right here, and they were able to zoom in. This is compressed, so you can't see it here, but they were able to zoom in and pull the serial number for the machine off the image from Fox 10 when they were streaming or videoing the logic and accuracy test. So they were able to take that serial number and then pull the Maricopa records on it. And right there for site number, instead of having a precinct location, it says spare. So Maricopa County was doing their logic and accuracy testing on machines that were not even going to be deployed out into the voting public.
Were all those machines that they ran tests on spares?
That's the only one that they have that sort of evidence on, but there's sufficient evidence that all 5 of the machines that they tested were spare machines.
What's the theory behind testing on spare machines?
That they're not going out in the public. So they passed the test with flying colors in the logic and accuracy test, but you don't have to worry about them going out. If those 5 machines went out, they'd work perfectly. But then they came in and reprogrammed machines after the fact, and those are the machines that actually went out to the public. But they told us, they said, don't worry, we programmed them with the same program that was on the logic and accuracy test in the first one. And I got to monitor the chat to make sure that Clay isn't like yelling at me, because he does that sometimes. It was Kevin. Yes, he says it was Kevin. Yes.
Yeah.
I want to give the respect. Only 5 tabulators. Who knew? So anyways, all right, let's move on. That's just a little update from that camp right there. So now we've got this motion from Anna Paulina Smith now or Luna Smith. Why did I say Anna Nicole Smith? I'm a Floridian. We dealt with that. Anna Paulina Luna is introducing a bill now to censure Adam Schiff and fine him $16 million. Check this out.
You did.
30-second shifty shift.
So, to my knowledge, tomorrow we will be taking the vote to censure him and potentially fine him.
Tomorrow
night.
And that has tomorrow night, and that has that backing of leadership.
Yes, we're working on the bill right now.
They're giving us lots of things now.
All right, so that's just a quick little clip there. We jump in here in Anna Paulina Luna. I don't know why I said Smith. I have that. I don't know. I just filed a privileged resolution, House Resolution 437, to censure, condemn, and fine Representative Adam Schiff $16 million, half the cost of the Russia investigation, for his egregious abuse of trust. I, with my GOP colleagues, look forward to an imminent vote to hold this feckless man accountable. Now, I wanted to jump in and talk about more of Adam Schiff's previous crimes, just as a refresher for some of the people out there. This is from the Federalist back in 2019. Adam Schiff makes up his own transcript of a call between Trump and Ukraine president. The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, made up his own version of a transcript between President Donald Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart to fit the false narrative being peddled by Democrats and many in the media to frame the president for a crime that never happened. In his opening statement at a congressional hearing, Schiff gave a fictional retelling of the conversation between the two leaders. Just some highlights of it. Schiff alleges that Trump said, "I have a favor I want from you, though. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent. Understand? Lots of dirt on this and on that. And you know what I'm asking, so I'm only going to say this a few times, a few more ways, and don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I've asked." So that was just one of Schiff's little... I don't know how he wasn't imprisoned for that or at least expelled from Congress and disbarred.
Disgusting, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. And then we have another case of misconception, deception, misinformation, disinformation. This is Jennifer Lynn Lawrence. Jennifer Lynn Lawrence had a tweet shared in the second Trump impeachment. So wait, you mean they doctored evidence in the first Trump impeachment and the second? Yes. And check out this clip right here. This was Swalwell, though, not Schiff.
The message out. So we started on the March for Trump bus tour. I tweeted this out, and then all of a sudden the president started retweeting me. And they chose the word "the cavalry's coming." Well, I meant it that the Calvary, like the crosses that represent the resurrection, or the crosses outside the hill in Jerusalem. That's what I wanted it to, represent, not the Calvary as like I'm driving into DC on the horseback and going to take the city over. No, that's not what I meant. And I really think that it shows how far that this nation has gone from Christianity, that they would automatically assume that.
Interesting. You spelled it correctly, I believe. I would have thought cavalry, even though I grew up Christian and I am a Christian, I was momentarily confused. And they also played a game with the dates, didn't they?
They did. So if they wanted to, show what they were doing for the sham impeachment. So they had to have the New York Times there for their big photo shoot. Except if you zoom in on the New York Times photo, it actually shows them on a conference call with three different squares at the top showing, different people on the call. And they're going over the tweet at the bottom, and the date is changed, and another big part of it is that they inserted the blue check mark because they wanted to seem like I was an influencer on Twitter, and that Donald Trump, or President Donald Trump, was using me to call the cavalry into DC to support, their arguments.
All right, so I'll cut that out right there. But so this was the Swalwell investigation. I believe Jennifer Lynn Lawrence is suing I think it's a PR firm that was representing it, and don't quote me specifically on that, but she is suing over what they did to her. They changed the date on her tweet. She said the cavalry instead of the Calvary, and she did spell it Calvary as in the Christian reference, not the reference to recon troops on horseback. Yep. And then they changed her profile picture to a picture of her with a gun. and they added a blue check mark. And this isn't when you could buy a blue check mark. This is when you were actually, a verified source on Twitter as a blue check mark. So I just wanted to go through and highlight some of the other crimes that we need Congress to look into.
Yeah, those are egregious. Like Swallow's done that a couple times now. I mean, terrible. Yet they get away with it. That makes it's the two-tier system of justice. They should be immediately expelled for doing something like that.
Yep, absolutely. I agree 100%. Now, I do want to just real quick, I had this tweet, and John, I deeply apologize for not putting you at the top.
Oh, you're fine, man.
But we had this tweet yesterday go a little bit viral. What are we up to now? We're up to almost 500,000 views on this tweet here, talking about John's research into Joe Biden and this Blue Star Strategy group that was working with Vadim Pozarski of Burisma and Hunter Biden to try and peddle top U.S. officials to influence Joe Biden's trip, the famous trip where he said, son of a bitch was fired. I told him, you want the $1 billion?
Yep.
And then you fire the prosecutor, and son of a bitch was fired. That was the very trip that took place like 4 or 5 days after this thread of emails here. Well, today we get this out from Wendell Husbo of Breitbart, and says the alleged $5 million bribery scheme involving Joe Biden links to his family's business in Ukraine, where Hunter sat on the board of an energy company, which we know. Based on the timing of a cash bribe allegedly offered in Ukraine, the New York Post speculated a link between the Biden family's deals in Ukraine and the alleged bribe. In a remarkable coincidence, Ukrainian officials held a press conference in Kiev on June 13th, 2020, 17 days before the FBI tip-off, where they showed off $5 million in cash allegedly offered as a bribe to end an investigation of natural gas company Burisma's founder, Mykola you say it.
Who?
Mykola Zlochevsky. Yeah, there you go. I can't do it. I can never live in Russia or Ukraine because I can't do that tongue action that they have. Okay, Burisma employed first son Hunter Biden from 2014 to 2019. An executive from the firm met Vice President Biden at an April 16th, 2015 dinner in Washington. The cash seized by Ukrainian officials in 2020 was paid in American $100 bills that were put on display and matches the amount that Joe Biden allegedly received years earlier. So now this whole FD 1023 looks like it's centered around Ukraine. We don't really know who One Eye is, although I've been going back and forth, and it looks like it could possibly be the Gal Luft character. But that was pretty interesting right there.
Yep. I've been digging through the emails some more. I think I found a few other interesting tidbits. So we'll see. I might have some more research coming out on this.
Very cool.
Later. So
very cool. Well, you got a thumbs up from some of the MP guys on your research on that. So I forgot to tell you that yesterday.
From who?
Marco Polo guys.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I hope that gets in front of like Homer and them. They're the ones that need to see it.
I really hope it does. I mean, some pretty big names shared it yesterday. I think Dinesh D'Souza shared it. So it's hopefully it gets in front of the right people and they look at that, because dude, that is, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a better smoking gun against Joe Biden, and especially because they literally impeached Trump over far less than that, using quid pro quo as the, as kind of the defining charge. And I mean, that's literally influence peddling. I mean, they said it in the email. We want top U.S. officials to say that Burisma's good. And then 5 days later, Joe Biden's over there saying Burisma's good. And he took it a step further and meddled directly into their politics and said, fire the prosecutor or you're not getting $1 billion. And he implicated Obama in it.
Yep.
Oh, man, dude, like somebody look at that. Everybody go share it. And follow John, because that's all his work. I got to make sure I say that over and over again, because that was great work. AP News, LGBTQ plus Americans are under attack. Human Rights Campaign declares in a state of emergency. Dude, I'm so over this stuff, man. This is the report that they put out right here. Okay. A guidebook for action on how Americans can fight back. And then the laws are so bad, John, that if you zoom in on this, they have like all the different laws by state and whether the state is friendly or not. These issues are so obviously bad that they have to literally write good underneath them and bad so that people look at this and they're like, oh, wait, non-discrimination laws. Oh, okay, those are good. So I can be happy about those. Gender affirming care ban. Oh, that says bad. So I have to be really mad at that one. I mean, it's just insane, man.
It
But
really is.
then did you see this clip from Justin Trudeau?
I did not.
I just got to play this because it's downright hilarious. Watch this.
I will never apologize for standing up for an LGBTQ2 plus.
Wow.
That's how I feel every time I see it. Or every time I say it, the LGBTQ, LMNOP, TUV, whatever numbers and letters we're up to now. Just LGB, get the hell away from everything after that. There's some people in the T that you can bring over, but after that, just get away, man. Get away.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty funny.
It is. I think I saw Nancy Pelosi threw out a pitch at the Nationals game yesterday, and threw out the opening pitch or whatever, and she did it like in support of LGBTQ plus or whatever. Let me see if I think it was on her Twitter. I saw. Was
it better than Fauci's?
I didn't actually see the pitch. I just saw this picture. Here, let me show you. I will always be a San Francisco Giants fan, but tonight my pitch was to celebrate the vibrancy of our LGBT communities with Team DC Sports and Nationals. Happy Pride.
Can we please find that video? I got to see how bad she is at throwing out a pitch, because that woman probably can't. She's like John McCain. Granted, his was a war injury, but I don't think she can lift her shoulder. Oh my goodness. He didn't even stand on the mound. Oh,
better than Fauci's.
Way better than Fauci. Way better than Fauci. I don't like giving Nancy Pelosi any credit, but that was way better than Fauci. Fauci's was the worst in the history. Didn't it go into the dugout or something?
I don't even remember. It was bad, though.
It was so bad. All right. But anyways, let's stay on the LGBT, whatever we're on, movement here for a second. From Gateway Pundit, Armenian men beat the crap out of Antifa and far-left protesters outside Glendale School Board. And I want to play just one of the clips down here, I believe. Yeah, check out this clip. So apparently there's a bunch of Armenian Christians that are outraged right now because, I mean, who isn't outraged? Like, other than a small percentage that the mainstream media makes look like a large percentage of people over what they're doing in these schools at our children. But check this out.
You want us to move that way? Admit it.
Look at it. Do you see any of these people here, John, with a helmet? This guy on the left has a helmet on. This guy came to fight. Guy came to fight. And none of these people have helmets. None of that stuff.
Come on, take that shit off.
Ass.
What are you here today, man? Be a fucking man, homie. Come on. Take your mask off. Let's go. Everybody. Get up. Hey. Hey, come on. Back up. Get back.
Fafo, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Fafo, man.
Kick his ass, man.
These parents aren't taking it. This is the second scuffle now in like a week out there in that area, I think in the LA school district. And they're not messing around, man.
Nope.
They're not messing around. You want to mess with the kids? Mama Bear and Papa Bear are going to get a little bit hands-on with that stuff. And they're showing up. The Antifa people, you can see in all the videos, they're showing up just like the Summer of Love. That is going to be the movement that they're going to use to try and derail the 2024 election. They're going to use this pride movement, I think. But we'll see.
Probably. That would make sense. They're going to use something. They're going to do the same style playbook. I bet the next summer, 2024, is going to be very similar to what we had in 2020.
Yep. All right. And then we got another story here from 100% fed up, sick, Trump hating girls gymnastics photographer allegedly caught with over 500 images of child porn, told the FBI he got off on photos of girls' bare feet. The FBI recently discovered that outspoken Trump-hating David Yellen, a well-known photographer of girls' gymnastics in the Metro Detroit area for over a decade, likes to possess and share naked photos of little girls online. David Yellen was arrested late last week after authorities say they tracked down the transfer of several images of child pornography that were transferred using his IP address. And you can just see this guy is an unhinged Trump hater. Things I'd rather do than listen to Donald Trump. You got this right here. This is grooming, and it's pictures of conservative families, maybe not conservative families, but families posing with their firearms. You get down here until a drag queen walks into a school and beats 8 kids to death with a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, blah, blah, blah. It just unhinged. But anyways, getting down to the actual case itself, it says MSNBC's Brian Tyler Cohen twisted the truth about a Republican Speaker of the House in Kansas. The Speaker passed a new anti-LGBTQ bill that allows for forced genital inspection of children in order to play sports. All it was a ban on biological males competing against women, and they completely twisted around there. And this is where David Yellen says, and this is just the epitome of hypocrisy. David Yellen responded, he looks like the kind of guy that wants to inspect kids' genitals. And so we find out, where's the actual? Here it is. Investigators identified at least 1,500 files during the search that were images of child sexual exploitation. At least 500 of the files met the federal definition of child pornography. The hard drives also included a folder titled BFK. Yellen told the agent it was an acronym for Barefoot Kids. The folder contained at least 200 images of the bare feet of children who attended Yellen's gymnastics school, he wrote. And he liked to pleasure himself to those pictures. So
I have no comments.
It's not real.
On that story.
Grooming is not real, guys. Grooming is not a thing. That's what they tell us over and over. But yet we just constantly have these people that are entrusted with children. The guy that's video, I don't know what you would call it, a cameraman for these gymnastic events. Somebody that you should trust, and just can't trust anybody, guys.
I have no comment on that story, man.
All right, so let's jump into this. And I just want to, just the title alone. Bud Light donates $200,000 to LGBTQ business owners of color. That they just did that, guys. Like they just don't care. It's wild. America First now is suing Target on behalf of their shareholders. It says today, America First Legal served the Target Corporation with a formal demand for the production of corporate books and records. Excuse me, it's not suing them yet. They're investigating with a formal demand for the production of corporate records, seeking transparency regarding its management's radical LGBTQ political agenda that has apparently cost the corporation $12 billion. And it goes on to talk about how Target's donated to the GLSEN. They have still over 100 products on their website for LGBT pride for kids clothing. And then, of course, the Satanist-inspired Abra Palin collection. So Target and Bud Light just doubling down, continuing to just...
They're going to keep crashing, man. I can't wait. These are textbook case studies in why you don't go woke, because you literally go broke. This is just going to continue to happen. And there's no recovering from this, especially Bud Light. Target, I could see doing about face, maybe. Bud Light's done.
Target can do an about face because of necessity. If Target comes out and says we were wrong, we're getting rid of it, people will go back to Target just because there's only like a handful of choices in that realm. You've got, Target, Walmart, like Sam's and Costco, maybe,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people could go other directions and shop elsewhere, but what I'm saying is, like, Bud Light has become a meme now. Like, it's everywhere. You see it on social media. People make fun of people drinking Bud Light because they equate it to being gay. They're done. There's no recovering from that.
Yep. Well, on that note, did you see what they're doing in Germany?
No. Do I want to see?
Oh, no, it's good. It's good. Germany, critics of Pride Month, launched their own Pride Month with the German flag instead of the rainbow flag. Becomes #1 trend on Twitter in Germany. It says the hashtag Stolzmonat. I'm probably saying that wrong. Stolzmonat. Pride Month, which means Pride Month in German, was trending on Twitter yesterday, garnering 50,000 tweets. However, it was not a celebration of the June's LGBTQ Pride Month, but instead a critique of it, with German conservatives and anti-woke activists substituting the rainbow flag with the German flag. And there's actually a really cool picture I saw, and I can't find it now, but it's like, yo, there it is, that right there with the rainbow, but instead it's the German flag colors. Like,
love that.
That's pretty badass. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe make like the word pride and put like a badass like American flag overlay into the word pride and just make that my cover photo on Twitter for the rest of the month. So we'll see what happens.
There you go.
Did you see the interview with that Matt Walsh had about this woman speaking out against Leah Thomas?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it's 27 minutes long. We can't play the whole thing, but they do like a teaser intro. So I'll play that because it actually sounds pretty good. I'm going to listen to it after this.
Actually, one of the girls, very upset. She went crying to the athletic department, and I don't know what they said to her, but she then was completely on board and thought Leah swimming was like this magical, beautiful thing. Like, is there something wrong with me for thinking that this is wrong? It worked. The university wanted us to be quiet, and they did it in a very effective way. Like, there was something going on in that athletic department that wanted to keep us quiet. And I was like, this is getting scary.
So what she's talking about right there is there was a woman that was on the swim team that her position went to Leah Thomas.
Yep.
And she was devastated by it. And this woman here is coming out and saying she went back into the athletic director's office, devastated, crying, and came out so supportive of Leah Thomas being on the swim team. So her name's Paula Scanlon. And apparently when she did What is a Woman, she was one of the masked people in What is a Woman or whatever, the hidden people. So that's a pretty interesting interview that Matt Walsh has up on his Twitter. So
yeah, I have to check that out.
All right. And then the last story this is the second to last story. The next story, I saved the best for last for today.
Okay,
From the Cato Institute. What's that?
I do have a couple things I want to share too.
Let's get you in there then right after this. Nearly a third of Gen Z favors the government installing surveillance cameras in our homes. You can't make this up, folks. I don't know how true this is or not, but it says here, younger Americans, minorities, and the center left are more open to in-home surveillance. And looking at the polling based on the numbers right here, you go down to age, and between 18 and 29-year-olds, 29% are in favor of in your home, the government being able to surveil you. 20% of ages 30 to 44, which is my category, and absolutely freaking not. Another shocking thing here is that blacks, 33%. Are you kidding me? Have the African American community, the black community, one out of every three, a third of them think that there should be in-home surveillance of the government in their homes. That does not make.
Can you send me the link to that? Because I would wager to bet that there's something weird with that survey.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Go ahead if you've got something else you want to jump in here with.
Yeah, well, what's your last story? I just want to make sure we don't.
The UFOs.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Let me do a couple things here. First, Kate posted this yesterday, and this was pretty crazy. I don't know if you saw this, but we got to watch. This was during the ceremony the day when Biden fell. But this is the PBS NewsHour broadcast. Something happened during the stream and interrupted the broadcast as it was ongoing. Got to listen to this. I can't make it any louder, by the way, so I apologize.
President Joe Biden as our commencement speaker. What a profound honor for our academy and our graduates, Mr. President, to have you here today. We thank you and we welcome you to your.
The ballot box is where a person comes in, looks around, goes in, and then I think one person stopped at 28 different sites, 7 or 8 votes each, but they had hundreds of them and thousands of them. If we don't have free, clear, fair elections, and if we don't have strong borders, we don't have a country. I mean, think of those two things. We need elections. They have to be free. and they have to be
nominated chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened during the live broadcast. It's like right before the 17-minute mark too, between like the 16 and 17-minute mark of the broadcast. And if you go to her Twitter, she quote tweeted the actual live broadcast. You can watch. You can find it in there.
Go to the 17-minute mark. I got to see it on PBS's website. Oh my goodness!
To have you here today.
Wow.
Thank you, and we welcome you to your.
stuffing the ballot boxes where a person comes in, looks around,
Wow.
goes in.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
That is wild, man.
Yep. So we had that. Yesterday I told you guys I was gonna look into the redaction stuff on this memo from the post office, and I did find the one that was in here most often. Well, I'll show you both of them. B6 was in here quite a bit, and if you look at this is the, let me see what it's even called. Yeah, the FOIA Act. This is what the redactions are when they redact stuff, and so B6 is personnel and medical files and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. So that was one of the most commons, basically just saying they didn't disclose it because of personal privacy. And then the second most common one was B7C. And let me share that. B7C here. You'll see it's in here quite a bit. That one is 7 records or information compiled for law enforcement purposes, but only to the extent that the production of such law enforcement records or information could reasonably be expected to constitute an unwarranted invasion of privacy. I was looking for 7A, which would mean it would interfere with current enforcement proceedings. There weren't any of them that said that. So that's what I was looking for. I read through every single one of the 36 pages redactions and didn't find a single one that kind of led me to believe that this might continue on further with something going on behind the scenes. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I do have, here's
hold on. Can you go back to the memo itself or the report itself? So what are the ones that are the huge interview redactions? So like
same B6. It's basically privacy of people.
Okay.
There were a couple that were, let me see if I can find them, like a couple long
whole page. Yeah. There's one that's like a whole page. It's an interview with the FBI.
Yeah, that one again was same thing. But there's a couple of these that were more like, let me see if I can find an example. Hold on. Because a couple of them basically talked about methods and sources. Like they didn't want to, by revealing something, it could allow people to bypass how they monitor things and have them break the law, so that's what they didn't reveal that stuff.
This is exactly what Tucker was talking about last night on towards the end of that when he transitioned from the Western interpretation or the Russians' interpretation of Western society, and he goes on to talk about billions of documents in the United States that are classified unnecessarily. And this is a prime example. Now, granted, this isn't classified; it's redacted. But like, why is this information redacted having to do with our elections? I mean, that is something that everybody should have complete and total transparency. Redact names, that's fine. I get that. But to redact like the content of these interviews, unless it's being used in an investigation, which.
Yeah, it's possible that they concluded this aspect. And again, it's an IG interview or investigation, which we've been saying there's a lot of IG stuff going on. And there might be something bigger going on behind the scenes, and this could be part of that. But it doesn't say that it's going to interfere with an ongoing investigation. It leads me to believe that this aspect of it has been concluded, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I do want to share that yesterday, Ghost of Base Patrick Henry had his first article on the Badlands Substack. I encourage you guys to all go out and check it out. Badlands.substack.com. I will post this in the chats. People to check out. And it is a brilliant article. It's the Patriot Chronicles, reclaiming our past, present, and future. Go read it. Make sure you subscribe to our Substack. You can do so for free, or if you choose to do so for a couple bucks a month, it's a great way to support us as well. So there's that. What else we got? Hold on. Oh, we have a new Trump campaign ad. I'm gonna play if that's okay. It's just a minute long.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Let me mute this so it doesn't echo. All right, good. Ooh, I like it already.
For you.
Oh, I think it's muted or it's echoing anyway.
Just how far are the radical left and inside the Beltway bandits willing to go to stop him? They all know they hate him for winning the fight to protect life, for exposing their deep state, for draining their precious swamp. And they already know he'll crush Biden. So like a pack of rabid wolves, they attack. So let's impeach him. Let's get tainted radical left prosecutors to charge him. Let's conspire with Hillary and the FBI with fake stories about him. All to distract from Biden's incompetence, weakness, and money-grabbing corruption. But here's the thing. He'll never blink. That's called having the courage of your convictions. And it's why he's our president.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Okay, there's that. And then I think that's everything that I got.
I love it. I love that ad right there. Although they got a little, it's called having courage. You should have just said it's called courage of conviction. That's how it should have went. But that was a great ad. All right, so let's jump into this story here. As Tucker said in that monologue, this should be the leading story in the country, but it's really not. So I saved it for the end because you saved the best for the last. We've talked about this a couple times. There's been kind of some slow news coming out about this whole idea. This is from the debrief. Intelligence officials say the U.S. has retrieved craft of non-human origin. Former intel officer turned whistleblower is giving Congress and the intel community inspector general extensive classified information about deeply covert programs that he says possess retrieved intact he says possess retrieved intact and partially intact craft of non-human origin. The information, he says, has been illegally withheld from Congress, and he filed a complaint alleging that he suffered illegal retaliation for his confidential disclosures. Other intelligence officials have independently provided similar corroborating information and both on and off the record. David Charles Grush is a decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan, a veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, a national reconnaissance officer, and he served as the Reconnaissance Office's representative to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force from 2019 through 2021. And we'll just jump down here and start. He doesn't give too much other than just a kind of a general overview that we have retrieved intact, non-human made craft. They're very vague in the terms that they use. They won't say aliens. They won't say extraterrestrials. They won't say little green men. They won't use any of those kinds of language. But it says Grush has said the recoveries of partial fragments through and up to intact vehicles have been made for decades. Analysis has determined that the objects retrieved are, quote, of exotic origin, meaning non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrials or unknown origin, based on the vehicle morphologies and material science testing and the possession of unique atomic arrangements and radiological signatures. In accordance with protocols, Grush provided the Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review at the Department of Defense with all the information he intended to disclose to us. That right there gives me a lot of weariness about what we're being told, is that the DOD gave him the okay to release all of this information. Take that with I don't know, man. That makes me nervous anytime I see something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what to believe here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go through all this because it's towards the end, but I will put up, there's a tweet right here from UAP James, and I'll put it in the chat for anybody that wants to watch this. There you go. You see there, putting it in the chat for anybody that wants to watch this after. One thing I will say, there is another guy here, Jonathan Gray, who's a generational officer in the United States intelligence community with a TSSCI clearance and works for the NASIC, which is the National Air and Space Intelligence Center. He confirmed a lot of this stuff. And there was one cool thing here that I just thought was a little bit, oh, did I go that far? Yeah, right here. This is a quote. He says, human civilization was utterly transformed by something as small as a grain of silicone or germanium creating the underpinning of the integrated circuits that underlie computation and now even artificial intelligence. Studying even small samples of purported anomalous material could lead to currently inconceivable benefits for humanity. Quote, what might be represented here could be hundreds of technology revolutions ahead of us. It could be more transformative for humanity than what the microprocessor accomplished. Imagine what we could do with even a grain of knowledge about how they operate. So take it with a grain of salt, but some pretty interesting stuff right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna reach out to a couple people I know to see if this is legit. It's hard for me to believe, but we'll see. I'll keep you. We'll talk about this more later. Maybe. Well, by the way, guys, tomorrow, so Badlands Daily moving forward every Thursday, Patrick's gonna fill in, or like that's gonna be his day on the show, and then every Friday is gonna be Chris Paul. I'm cutting back a little bit on some of my shows so that I can focus on continuing to grow Badlands. So just wanted to let you guys know about that, but make sure you still tune in. We do have some Rumble rants we're going to read through. Let me pull these up quick. Oh, we got PJW, CanCon. I sent you a hump day meme on Twitter. Love it. Christy Lou Who. Am sitting here drinking my Field of Greens and looking at my Patriot 3-month supply of survival food. Feeling good. Jay Gonzalez, 1123. Joe Biden has been the conduit for exposure of all government. Of all government corruption. The LGBT movement has been hijacked by a sociopathic genocidal campaign. It's time to expose the evil targeting our children. You know what? I'm going to share my screen and put these up here too while I read them. If I can figure out where it's at. Oh, here we go. Here we go. H2O Maven, why not CBD or THC vending machines? That's a great point. Sacred DJ or Sacred JM, put the illegals in those empty buildings. EC was here. BlackRock is the empire we must defeat to win our freedom.
Amen.
They're definitely a part of it. I think it's bigger than just them, but yeah, it's definitely a part of it. H2O Maven, CanCon's manly cans have stinky pinkies in them. They're awesome. Yeah, we'll talk about that soon. Next time they're up for an ad read. Critter 64, D-Day was forgotten because our government doesn't want to lift up our heroes. PJW, can we make a toast to the rear view? Because the view is now a set of dimming taillights. We won that battle. H2O Maven, you can't tame the Nazi. You can't tame the Nazi. Ghost of Base Patrick Henry, I'm now being banned on search. Checked last week and it was all clean. That is interesting. I'm not being search suggestion banned, but Just Human is, I believe, and now another Badlands contributor. Denise Ann 2, wearing my pillow flip-flops to work today, and my coworker and I started talking, and she's going to be ordering more products from Mike Lindell, and I'm giving her the best promo codes. That's awesome. Make sure you tell her where to watch us too. Patriot Gal 1957, Twitter is not free speech. I was a small account and was banned in the Great Purge. 3 appeals and still banned, even though I never said anything threatening or violent. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people like that. If you can, try to create a new account and try to start over. There's a lot of people I know that were banned and may not be getting their bigger accounts back, smaller accounts back, whatever. But it is the battlefield. You got to try to make your impact there, and you can help us grow too by, coming on and sharing our content as well. So you got to do your part in the war here. H2O Maven, why you think they got rid of lead paint? Satellites couldn't see you. Shocker, I know. That's an interesting theory.
That is an interesting theory. So it's not the cancer and whatever the birth defects and all that stuff. Shocker.
That's interesting.
Shocker, they lied to us.
Yeah. Anyway, awesome. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Make sure you guys tune into the Power Hour tonight, 10:30 p.m. Should be a good one. Me, Burning Bright, and Just Human. Yeah. Anything else, CanCon?
That's all I got. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
See you tomorrow. Well, I guess I won't.
But... Yeah, you won't. You won't be here. I'll get Patrick. Me and Patrick.
Yep. There you go.
Kill it tomorrow.
See you guys.
If we don't kill each other.
Yeah, no kidding. I know the feeling. Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. And a special thank you to all of our advertising partners. Please remember to shift your dollars to support those businesses that support Badlands Media. And if you're interested in advertising with Badlands yourself, reach out to Kitty Gillespie. Her email is ads.badlandsmedia@proton.me. That's ads.badlandsmedia@proton.me.